Hey everyone, this is Helena Hart, and I'm here with Anya Grace today.
Hey guys.
And today we're going to be talking about the 4 myths about using feminine energy to attract men. So we're so excited for everyone watching. Can you let us know if you can hear us and see us okay? We were having some microphone issues right before this, so hopefully everything's fine. We're just going to jump in, and if you guys let us know if the sound's not working or something, we'll just try again. So let's just jump into the first one.
Yes, good.
Yeah, for everyone watching too, say hi, let us know where you're from, any questions you have about feminine energy or using feminine energy to attract a masculine energy man. We would love to answer all your questions. So we're just going to jump right in. The first myth is that feminine energy means just letting a guy do whatever he wants, right? Basically being a doormat, letting him come and go as he pleases. We see it in the comment sections of so many of both our own videos and other relationship advice videos. A lot of people out there, say things like, oh, so does feminine energy just mean letting a guy do whatever he wants and being a doormat? And that actually couldn't be further from the truth. So Anya, I'd love to hear, everything you have to say about that.
Yeah, well, in a way, it's not about being passive. It is about being receptive, but not passive. So when we're just kind of waiting around and keeping our schedule clear and hoping that something's going to happen without really taking the initiative to create the life of our dreams, then we don't further our life to expand to its potential. And so when you think about being a high value woman, you want your life to be a reflection of your worth and your desires and everything that really is aligned with your dreams. And then as you elevate in your own life, the man that you will attract will be at that level as well. So it's really important not to just be waiting around and kind of just putting your own needs aside in order to just, appease and please that person who may or may not be in your life for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. Setting a boundary and really standing strong for what you want is a super feminine energy quality. I hear from so many women every day, literally, who are kind of afraid to set a boundary or stand up for themselves because they're scared it might turn a man off, or they're afraid they're going to lose a guy if they, have boundaries and standards for themselves. And that just couldn't be further from the truth. The truth is a man will just fall head over heels for a woman who knows where the line is for herself and doesn't let him walk all over her boundaries. Right, Anya?
Totally. It's like the cat example, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, no, yeah.
It was like the women are like cats. Like they'll claw you if you're too close and they'll sit on your lap if you're too far away or something. But a woman in her true power is not going to be afraid to say something if something doesn't feel right. There is not a fear to speak up and not a fear to remove herself from a situation. I was talking to both my last romantic partner and another really powerful man really recently, and they both said in different ways. My last partner said, part of what I loved about being with you is that it was actually a challenge. It was really a challenge I had to work for our relationship. And so just by being so easy to get and so ready to be available, it doesn't create that challenge. And that's when a man will literally, want to spend the rest of their life with you.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, nothing turns a man off faster than being a doormat. If a guy gets the sense that you're walking around centered around this fear of losing him and he can kind of treat you however he wants, his attraction for you will fade, his respect, even if he's a nice guy, it's like, men can't really respect someone, neither can we. I mean, how would you feel if a guy just let you walk all over his boundaries and, was kind of spineless? Like, you wouldn't be attracted to a guy like that, right? So very, very important. Feminine energy is the opposite of being a doormat. It's actually the most empowered place you can come from. So I just want to say hi to everyone who's joining. Miss Chronicles, Tiffany, Raquel says, I'm interested in increasing my own value so I can attract a better quality partner. Awesome. Well, hopefully this video will help you. Tiffany, hello. Ellen says, I love your videos. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching. So you want to move on to number 2?
Can I say one more thing?
Absolutely.
Really quick
Yeah,
okay, so
definitely.
So this first one, The other guy said too, like, I was asking about, okay, what do you really want to feel in your relationship? We were doing a little bit of coaching, and he said, I want to feel challenged in a sense. And it was interesting. He was really clear about that. He wanted to feel challenged within the relationship. He didn't want it to just be easy, so I think it's really important to remember that, and even I was talking to another one of my clients, and she said that she actually canceled an entire trip with this guy because she had a prior engagement, and he'd bought her a ticket and everything. And she was like kind of worried that it would turn him off and make him not, it would send him the message that she wasn't interested, but she legitimately had other plans that she needed to attend to. And of course, that didn't turn him off. It actually made him lean in more, and he booked her another flight. And so she's going out there to see him, in a different date. But so it's really like, be busy, be doing your own life, and that will be
It's not about pretending to be hard to get. Sherry asked, please elaborate. So these are the myths about using feminine energy. So it might sound a little shocking or confusing at first, because we're hoping to dispel all of these myths. And the truth is, being in your feminine energy is really the most empowered place you could possibly come from our perspective, the way we see things and like to do things. So hopefully the rest of this video will help you, Sherry. And hello to Rose and Cindy too. Thank you guys so much for your comments and for everyone watching. You challenge a man by challenging yourself, right? You don't challenge a man by pretending to be hard to get or playing games or anything that looks like being inauthentic or pretending to be someone you're not. A man can pick up on that right away, right? He can feel it. So you challenge him by challenging yourself. Something I always say, that looks like having really high standards, having a full, complete life, and really like holding that space. The empowered feminine sets that boundary, knows what she wants, and she holds that space and doesn't settle until a man comes in and shows up with what she wants. So it's not about playing hard to get or being a challenge in like a negative sense or an entitled sense, but it's about, really actually raising your value in your own eyes first. So a man naturally sees your value and just organically feels compelled to come closer and win you over, right?
Yeah, and let's later on use the word submissive in some of our later points here, because that's a really powerful point that we can get to.
Yeah, the rest of these will be really helpful. Kavita says, this is a great topic. Can't wait to hear. Yeah, Matt asked us yesterday to come on and do a live stream on this, because there's a lot of myths about feminine energy. So we're so happy to be doing this. So the second myth is a really common one too, and that is feminine energy means doing things like cooking and nurturing and mothering and taking care of a man's every need. A lot of people equate those things with feminine energy, where the way I was trained and the true sense of some of these things, like nurturing, for example. Nurturing involves a lot of taking action and giving of yourself and providing and taking care. If you think of a child or a pet and you're nurturing it, it's actually pretty masculine quality, depending on where you're coming from. So a lot of women have this perception that what men really want is a woman who is giving and nurturing and just like takes care of his every need. And if you've ever tried that, you know that can actually come across like pressure to a man, especially if on sort of a subconscious level, you're doing those things because you're hoping to get something in return from him. And if you're giving and giving and you're not getting really the same in return, that's when resentment can start to build up over time. So Anya, what do you have to say on this second one?
I always say that however the relationship begins, that will continue. Even if there's a big issue at the beginning of a relationship, that's usually the issue that will end a relationship. It's like the same one. It doesn't really change. So you want to be really conscious of how you're showing up at the beginning of the relationship, because that will set the tone for the rest of your time together. And if you are the one who is, if you're watching a movie together and you're the one to continuously get up and get the water and the popcorn and the wine, then that will literally be the rest of your relationship. You will always be the one moving around the house and serving that man, which is actually not going to help him fall in love with you. In fact, it's when he's really getting up and using his body and using his physical prowess that he will see you as a higher value woman. And you are essentially emanating this value and this worth, that the more relaxed and calm and sensual, like in your essence, you are, the more receptive you are to his actions of love, then you are remaining in your true feminine energy. So, and we're moving away from, I've talked to a couple people about like it's not about, let's see, how do I say this? That classic model of the housewife. There's a lot of beautiful aspects to, I don't know how to say this exactly, I'm stumped a bit, but so let's see. The woman cooking and cleaning, like that's what we're coming from, right? We all know that. We've seen those old videos and movies of the classic housewife. And we see how it's not necessarily empowering for the woman. It doesn't mean that, being the CEO is necessarily the woman in her true power either. As long if she's in her feminine energy doing that, and she knows how to switch in and out of her masculine and feminine energy, that's awesome. But we really are creating a new paradigm of what true feminine power looks like. And so it's kind of between the CEO and that classic housewife who's doing everything for the men of the household. We're really moving away from that and really flipping it back into the true power. So you may have grown up in a household where, your mom cooked and cleaned and did everything. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's about asking yourself, does that feel empowering to me? And perhaps it would be beautiful to experience my partner really helping to serve me as well. And it's not just about, doing everything for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I was just reading these comments over here when you were talking. Someone asked, what if you're being pressured to do a sexual act you haven't done before and have reservations? Yeah. So if you're doing something because you're afraid you're going to lose a man if you don't, that is, that's where, back to number one. I don't know if you just started watching this live stream, but the first myth about feminine energy, it means just doing whatever a guy wants and being a doormat. So you definitely want to stay away from that. So where are you coming from? Obviously compromising your values. I don't know the specifics of what exactly he wants you to do, but if he's pressuring you and something doesn't feel right, you want to really listen to that. Hey, everyone in the chat, these are some great questions. Hopefully we can get to them. I know we don't have too much time today, but yeah, I love everything Anya was saying. For most of us, the idea of just leaning back and receiving from a man is such a foreign concept, and it doesn't feel natural to us. But once you get used to it, it starts to become like second nature. Something I always say, I know this is a strong statement, but I'm kind of a fan of strong statements, is men fall in love when they're giving to us. They don't fall in love necessarily when we're constantly doing and giving to them. That can often feel like pressure to a guy, right? So super, super important to keep that in mind. Should we move on to number 3, or do you want to?
Can I just address this really quick too? So the questions about intimacy, men really, intimacy and sex are an arena where men really feel their power. To give to us in that way is an aspect where they can really step up into their power of masculine offering and giving and serving. So I want to say, like it can be a sensitive topic, it can be a sensitive subject, and in relationship, it can cause some challenges sometimes, and that's okay. So it's really important to just be gentle and have the compassion for where both sides are at. There's a lot of healing that definitely needs to be done on both the male side and the female side around intimacy and sex. And so one of the most powerful things to expect and look for is a man who is willing to hold space for whatever will come up for you. We have thousands of years of trauma that are still in our bodies in a memory. We have these cellular memories of trauma. And so sometimes things will come up, and so distracting.
I know. Every time we look over here, we're just reading comments. I know it looks like we're probably staring off into space, but yeah.
Yes.
I love what you were saying.
Okay. So what's so beautiful to source, like I've sourced this in my own life, for example, source relationships where you have the opportunity to heal sexual wounds. And, when we're talking about like kind of soulmate love, for example, soulmate love is not a relationship that will cause more wounds. It may trigger a wound, but then it will have a strong enough capacity and container that you can talk about that wound together, talk about the trigger that comes up, talk about the tears that are streaming down your face, and really have it be a safe environment for you to speak your heart and be intimate and vulnerable about what's really going on. So if you're feeling triggered in your relationship in some way, that's an amazing sign that it's an opportunity for you to heal and grow. So, but you want to ask yourself and communicate with your partner and really like ask for there to be a safe space for you to share. And if he can't provide that, if he's continuously pressuring you, then it may not be a man who is in his true power. And by saying no and being willing to exit that kind of relationship, you then basically send the signals and the signs out that that you want something else. You're really ready and willing to have a relationship with a partner who is going to hold space for you. Does that make sense to you guys?
Absolutely. Yeah. Raquel says, I love cooking and caring for someone who openly appreciates me. Yeah, absolutely. And I know Bill was saying females care, nurture, males protect and provide. Where we see a lot of women getting into trouble is when they're giving and doing things because they're trying to make something happen in the relationship, right? I mean, I hear from women literally every day who are like kind of hanging on to a man who's not quite stepping up in the relationship, not giving her the time and care and attention or even commitment that she wants. So she starts over functioning, overdoing, over nurturing in order to try to make something happen. I call it giving to get. And that's where it can step over into the masculine territory, because the intention behind it is to make something happen or move the relationship forward. And that's when it can really push a man away. So just wanted to clarify that. Yeah. Rose said, did I say Raquel Rose? Did I do this one already?
I'm not sure.
I love cooking and caring for someone who openly appreciates me. Yeah, so giving back to a man is fantastic. Of course, if you enjoy cooking, if you enjoy doing some of these things, giving back is great. But it's when we're feeling empty and wanting or anxious or insecure and we're trying to make something happen and we're giving from that place, hoping we're going to get something back in return, usually in terms of like the relationship, right? That's where you can get in trouble, right?
And when there's an expectation, that's what we want
yeah.
to move away from. Like if you're in a relationship and your partner expects dinner to be on the table every single night and it gets mad at you if it's not on the table and you put pressure on yourself to be perfect in that way, and that's getting into our next one, that's when it's not as much of an empowered energy in your feminine.
Yeah.
And then with the nurturing and the feminine, so it's also really beautiful to remember that just simply in our presence and our energy as women, you are creating a gentle, loving feeling about you. And when you invite somebody in a man embraces you, or you're petting a man's head or massaging or tickling his back or something like that energy is caring, but it's not it's inherent. It's not an action. It is who you are. So it's not
I like that.
It's absolutely inherent. Just when you're around, when a man comes home and you're home and you've been, let's say you went to a yoga class and you're a couple hours ahead of him, and you're just relaxing, and he comes into your arms and you help him relax just because you're inherently soft in your energy. And that's a beautiful gift to remember. That's what we're bringing, is our energy in relationship.
I love that. Amazing. Okay, that's a good segue into myth number 3 and that is feminine energy means you have to be perfect all the time. And I don't know if you've seen some of our other live streams and videos together that we've done over on my channel, but we talk so much about vulnerability and about not having to be perfect. Another comment we see all the time in a lot of these relationship advice videos is, oh, so women have to be perfect all the time. Women always have to do the right things and say the right things. And that actually couldn't be further from the truth as well. So this is kind of your specialty too. Do you have anything to say on not being perfect?
Yeah, okay. So men may think, and this is my perspective, there's no right or wrong, this is just my sharing and what I feel and what I've witnessed and observed, that some men may think that they want like that perfect trophy wife next to them and they're looking for that in their life. But I think a man in his true power knows that that's not exactly what he wants. men will really value you when you become the most authentic and real person that when you truly express yourself in an authentic way, which may not always be the perfect trophy wife, but you're dynamic and wild and unpredictable. That is what initiates a man into his power, where he can wield his swords and use his tools to support you and support to shift and direct and move you in a sense, when you're in that wild and dynamic, unpredictable feminine energy. Like I've felt the moments where in past relationships, my partners have fallen in love with me. It's in moments where I just do the most random thing or the most unpredictable, wild thing, and that's the moment that they fall in love. It's not, and in fact, I've had other experiences where I'm trying to be more perfect and it doesn't work. It kind of shuts that person down, or they're not as interested. So it's really like practicing, let it be a practice, like the next date that you go on, if you're not in a relationship at this time, really practice just letting yourself be easeful and be as dynamic as you possibly can, and try not to be perfect and see how he reacts. Like, be funny, be silly, be random. And in my experience, men will really fall in love with that.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this before in other videos. It's those moments when we feel vulnerable. It's like you're giving him this honor of seeing this deeper part of yourself, right? And this plays out in all different stages of the relationship. When a man sees that you trust yourself and you love and accept all the different parts of yourself, even the parts that don't feel so good, that you don't necessarily want to show to others, that's how he knows on a very deep kind of subconscious level, like, oh, she accepts herself. That's how I know that she's going to accept me and all of my insecurities and quirks and things I don't want to, necessarily show to the world. So that's how you do it.
Yeah.
Right?
And I just had this thought, there's this archetype and this avatar that a lot of women are trying to step into and be. But really what that is like becoming, if you try to just be her, then you're like every other woman, you're not distinct and unique. And what will make you a high value woman is when you are unique. It's like a diamond is valuable because it's rare. Like, the things that are the most valuable are rare. So if you're trying to fit into the cookie cutter, you're not actually allowing yourself to be rare and a rare gem, like literally. So, and you may find, your partner will literally say to you, like, you're a rare gem, and I've never met a woman like you, when you allow yourself to be connected to your actual truth and authenticity. So there was one more thing I had to say about that, but I can't remember at this moment.
Yeah. It's not about being perfect. Being perfect is not where it's at. That's not where like the juice is in the relationship, right? Like, that can be really boring. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, what is that phrase? Like, you're admired for your strengths, but we connect with each other through our weaknesses. Was that Brene Brown? So there was a great quote that we connect with each other through our weaknesses. And I truly believe that that's what a man is going to fall in love with you for. That's actually kind of like your superpower. I've had lots of clients with certain like disabilities or, things like that, where they're so worried, like, who's going to love me when I have this thing going on? And I help them realize, like, that's actually, a man's going to see that, and it's going to be one of the reasons why he falls for you. I've just seen that happen over and over again.
Yes, beautiful. And with the energy of the masculine and the feminine, man wants to dive into the feminine, penetrate and experience the depth and the multidimensional aspects of the feminine energy, both physically and energetically and emotionally. So if you open your heart and you show the different sides of who you are, like the different, I just did a training where we go through the different archetypes. So there's different, you have the goddess shapeshifts. She's not just one form. She can be, she can be ferocious and refined and wild and beautiful. You as a woman can be all of these things. And that's why, you have different outfits, and sometimes you wear something that feels really elegant and beautiful, and sometimes you wear something that feels more edgy, or you paint your nails like red one week and then like green the next week, or light blue the next week. Like, we have these different sides of us that we're sharing, and it's intimate in a sense. So by not being perfect and actually welcoming a man into your multidimensional who you are multidimensionally, that's an intimate experience, and he's diving into an experience of you. So that's energetically, that's also what's happening when you really open up and be vulnerable.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. I love it. By the way, I forgot to say this earlier. If you're new to our channel, go ahead and click the button to subscribe to get all of our videos and live streams. I'm going to actually be doing live streams every Friday afternoon at 3 p.m. Pacific time. So make sure to turn the notifications on and subscribe to the channel to get access to that, where we answer all your questions. And let's move on to number 4. We ready for that? Number 4 is the myth is that being independent is a turnoff to men. Another thing we see in the comments of a lot of videos is, oh, so you can't be independent then, like, or I'm going to intimidate men if I'm too independent. And it's just really not true. An empowered masculine man is going to love it when you are in your empowered feminine and empowered masculine as well. And being independent is not a turnoff. It's when it's when you're like so fiercely independent that you don't need anything from a man, and he feels like there's no room for him to give to you. That's the distinction there.
Right.
Do you have anything to say on that?
Yeah, our independence is such an interesting word, because as humans, we need other people. We really do need other people. There's no way we can step up into our fullest power without help, without the support and the help and the encouragement of other people, So from an early age, if we were just alone by ourselves, we would not survive. So we're wired for connection, and yet at the same time, being having a certain level of self-sufficiency where we have the confidence to create whatever we want. That's the independence that we're talking about. Sorry. That's the independence that we're talking about. It's just that we have the willingness and the ability to know what we want from our head and our heart, and go after it and create the life of our dreams from a place of empowerment. And then also know that along the journey, we will experience a greater life when we open ourselves up to connection. And that's what we're talking about here. It's like, when you alienate yourself and say, I can do everything by myself and I don't want anybody, I don't need anybody, that's when there's like a wall, and it's really harsh and hard and more of a masculine energy, where it's like, okay, I'm empowered, and I'm also going to, ask for support or ask for help, or call my boyfriend for, a moment. If I'm feeling insecure for a moment where I doubt myself, like, let me call him and ask him for some words of encouragement. And men will love that because they feel like they can support you and they can help fix a problem or something like that.
Yeah.
So independent doesn't mean that you don't ever not need somebody. It's
ask any man, they will say they love an independent woman, right? They just don't want, some women that I've worked with and talked to are so like hyper independent, so fiercely independent that they have this belief that getting into a relationship with a man would mean giving up some of their identity, right? If they're working 60 hours a week and they have a full schedule and there's no room for a guy to step towards you, like there's no room for his masculine initiative or his masculine action towards you, that's when it can turn a guy off. And it's not so much that men are intimidated. A lot of women think, oh, men are intimidated by me, but it's not, sometimes it's just, they're just don't feel compelled to come closer because it's just like, oh, I can't even get to her. She doesn't, there's no room for me in her life. I just can't get to her. So there's nothing to compel him to keep pursuing you. That's what I've seen. Have you seen that as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. The more jobs that there are for him to support you in, the more powerful he feels, but you can still be working towards your dreams and being empowered in that way, and it's not going to turn him off.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, this is great. We were hoping to keep it to 30 minutes, so should we move on to number 5? Okay, the 5th myth, this one goes along with number 4. This is the one that we are most fired up about, and that is that feminine energy means being weak or super passive, or the idea that you have to be a damsel in distress in order to attract a man. And again, out of all these, I feel like this is the one that couldn't be further from the truth. So again, we see this so often in the comment sections of a lot of these videos is, oh, so you have to be a damsel in distress. You can't take care of yourself in order to attract a man. And it's just the opposite. This whole damsel in distress thing is wounded, from my perspective, wounded feminine energy. It's not empowered feminine energy. It's this not having the motivation or the willingness to take care of yourself or to take care of something in your life. It's waiting on a man to come in and make everything right. And yeah, again, that's wounded energy. If you're in your wounded feminine energy, you're going to attract and be attracted to wounded masculine energy or some other kind of person that's not like a whole complete person, I've really found.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, we have the damsel in distress woven into our subconsciousness with as early as the Disney movies that we watched, most of us watched as little girls, the princess that needed to be saved, literally saved. And that is a reflection of more of the wounded, fallen feminine energy and paradigm. And being the damsel in distress is very much connected to the victim consciousness that we're healing as women right now. So the victim is, essentially having a part of us that feels like we need to be even calling an experience, like really traumatizing experiences, like actually, I'll say this is very vulnerable, but there was a moment when I was more of a teenager where I was kind of wanting to have experiences that were damaging to me, because I felt like if I was damaged, then I would get attention from the guys. I would get that attention and they would want to take care of me. And it would be like this dramatic thing that I would basically get my needs met through. But that's because I didn't know any other way. And that wasn't a true reflection of my power as a woman, and therefore didn't really attract powerful experiences in romance. But that can be something that it's very subtle, or it can be really intense. And most of us have had some sort of traumatic experience, and it's like really about shifting our way of looking at those experiences of I was the victim to that, to I know this can be sensitive, but to, okay, that happened in my life, and now I'm choosing to actually, really choose a different way of to look at that experience and actually become empowered. One of the most brutal and traumatic experiences of my life, a trauma that I experienced, was the very breaking point in which I decided that I was no longer available for that. That was not something that would ever happen to me again. And it awoke a rage inside of me that actually set me on this path of empowerment and standing for my value as a woman, because I knew my inherent value, but the world wasn't necessarily reflecting that. And I was calling in those experiences, and I was like, no, this does not get to happen anymore. Mm-hmm. So I moved away from that damsel victim and was like, I'm not weak, I'm empowered, and I get to have a relationship with a powerful man who's going to reflect and really mirror, me at my highest and him at his highest.
I love that. Amazing. Yeah, I've had similar experiences, not identical to what you're talking about, but yeah, it's like this energy takes over, and you have empowered masculine and empowered feminine. The empowered masculine, holds the space, perhaps sets that boundary, and then the empowered feminine doesn't settle until somebody steps up and comes towards her. Somebody said, like, all these comments are popping up so fast, I keep scrolling up because I don't want to miss any of them, but someone said, since I decided I'm buying a house for an investment, saving to buy land, my current partner is seeing me in such a different light as well. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it's exactly what we're talking about for number 4 and 5, like having things going on for yourself, being able to take care of yourself is what's going to attract the kind of man who wants to take care of you. If you're in this damsel in distress, wounded energy, hoping that an empowered man is going to come save you, it doesn't work that way, because the empowered masculine won't sacrifice himself or get pulled into wounded energy. He'll be there and support the feminine, of course. So the masculine wants that, but he won't compromise himself or his boundaries or values for the wounded feminine or for any kind of wounded energy, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And when we meet each other halfway, yes, and it's going to look different ways. We have this belief that we have to be 50-50 and show, like, do exactly the same, but the gifts of the male energy and the gifts of the female energy are totally different. So it's about valuing both sides equally, and then really acknowledging one another and really expressing and experiencing the gifts that each partner is providing in the relationship. And that's when it turns into a truly empowered relationship, and we're not just cycling these wounded masculine and wounded feminine energies, that's more connected to this damsel in distress and sort of that. I think a lot of men even will think that they want that archetype and that submissive feminine energy, but there's a difference again between being submissive. Sub is under, sub literally means under. So be careful about using that word, because there is a subtle message that you can be activating in your body. When you're submissive, you're under. And that energy will be activated inside of you. So perhaps work with different words such as receptive or open, or
I was just going to say receptive. Yeah. Soft. I always talk about space and softness, warmth, receptivity, openness. You guys, I love these comments. These are great. Tiffany said, oh yeah, shifting your perception and experience towards whatever seems traumatic or damaging to you, stepping into your empowerment. Love it. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Speaking of empowerment, Anya and I we have created a series of videos that we're going to be posting called the Feminine Empowerment System over on my channel. If you guys aren't subscribed to my channel, you can search for it, Helena Hart, or maybe I can post a link after this posts. But yeah, we're going to be going into one aspect of your feminine energy in each of the videos. So that would be experiencing the present moment, feeling, trusting, allowing, and receiving, and how these all work, in combination with each other, so you can come from a super empowered feminine place. Everyone is saying power. Someone said, wow, powerful. Submissiveness sounds like lack of will and power. Absolutely. Yeah. So if you guys are interested in taking some of these concepts deeper and really stepping into your true power as a woman, that empowered feminine energy, they're going to be free. So just come on over to my channel, make sure you're subscribed, and so you won't miss any of them. We're going to start releasing those in about maybe 2 or 3 days. So
it's like a training. It's a training all next week. So really, really beautiful. It's different than a lot of our other stuff. There's a definite different energy to it. It's very powerful. And with I just have so much to say now about the submissive. So, even when you think like sexually of submissive energy, there's our world and our society has construed it. There's been a sexualization to submissive energy, and we're actually taking away the power of the feminine when we place this sexualized energy on being submissive, because the true power of the feminine is, again, like we said, receptive and open. And that doesn't mean less than. We have associated those energies of leaning back and not taking action and just attracting as less powerful than the doing and the being and the taking over and taking control. Control is something that we really value as a society, especially in this Western world. So it's like the submissive energy that I have certain images that kind of come to mind when I think of submissiveness. And like you said, Sandra, sounds like lack of will and power. Again, it's, you can experience your power as a woman by really learning how to be fully open and receptive and soft, and really receive from a place that is, you're connecting to your highest self, and you realize that in that state of total openness and in that state of complete you're inviting somebody into your heart, that is your power, and it's not below the person who is above you, let's say.
Wow. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's really, it's so it's subtle and energetic and even spiritual in a sense, but it's one of the biggest keys to unlock when we're really having this conversation.
I love it. Yeah. Sandra says receptive and open is powerful. Yes, absolutely. That was so that was so amazing. I feel like we should have just made that number 6. So that was just a bonus. So we obviously have a lot to say about all of this, and we don't want to keep you guys on forever and do a
submissive being.
Absolutely. So we have so much to say on this. We'd love to hear from you too. If you guys are watching the replay, feel free to type in your experiences and your thoughts on this in the comment section. Thank you guys so much for all your questions and comments. Let me just recap these really quick. Thank you so much, Tiffany. Awesome. The 5 myths that about feminine energy and using it to attract men. First one is letting a man do whatever he wants, or being a doormat, that's going to attract a man. Couldn't be further from the truth. The second one is feminine energy means doing things like nurturing and mothering and taking care of a man's every need. And if you do those things, that's going to attract a guy. Obviously, that's not the case. The third one is feminine energy means you have to be perfect all the time. And, we talk so much about vulnerability and being your authentic self and shining out who you are, radiating that out so that the right man sees that, knows you're the one right away, and wants to pursue you. The fourth myth is that being independent is a turnoff. Actually, not true at all. And the fifth one is feminine energy means being weak or passive or submissive, or you have to be a damsel in distress or not take care of yourself in order to attract a man. So for all of these, the opposite is actually true. So you might want to rewatch this over again. And of course, check out the feminine empowerment system videos. They're going to be free on my channel starting within the next day or two. So make sure you're subscribed over there as well. I didn't want to say anything else before we close out.
I think just lastly, like we are calling it the feminine empowerment system. And that really, it does relate to, our relationship will be a reflection of us. And if you're wanting to attract a powerful, I like saying a power couple. Like if you want to be in that power couple relationship, if you want to experience love that is really elevating and feels good, it really does start with the work that we do on ourselves. And so becoming empowered to your absolute highest potential, which is what this is all about, that will completely reflect whether it is in a current relationship or if you're wanting to attract somebody. So it's really, it does just begin with us.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. I just can't, sometimes I don't want these to end because I'm like, I just want to keep reading the comments. Yeah. Someone says, yes, this makes so much sense. My partner says, the only thing that makes him nuts is when he feels and hears and sees me struggle with fear. He's a cheerleader more than I realize. Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. So this was great. You guys, thank you so much. Make sure to give this video a like and a comment if you enjoyed this. Let us know what you think about some of these myths. We love hearing from you. And check out the Feminine Empowerment System free on my channel, starting to get released probably within the next few days. So have a great evening, and we hope to talk with you guys again soon.
Bye.